Yo, what's going on, guys? Look, man, I wasn't really too excited for this fight, David Benavides versus David Morrel, just because it's on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? One of the things that I don't know if it's Amazon or PBC, but they just don't seem to care, or they don't seem to understand the modern market. I can't get really excited for this fight because to be honest with you, I don't even know who's on the undercard. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how good David Morrel is. You know what I mean? To For that fact of the matter, I don't even know how good David Benavides is. Like, can you guys honestly tell me that David Benavides is extremely good? You know, one of the things that I'll say about David Benavides and PBC is they look the part. When PBC goes about building momentum for guys like Tim Sue, for guys like David Benavides, Errol Spence, it's like we're almost rooting for the PBC and their fighters that they're trying to promote, and like in a backhanded compliment type of way. But when we really look at it, let's say David is about, I don't know, how old is David? 29 years old, right? Turned pro. Let's check this out. I think David Benavides has been pro for almost 10 years, right? David Benavides is 28 years old, right? And he became a champion at essentially 20 years old. Probably turned pro around 17, 18 years old, man. And Vince goes, man, he's an old man. Look, let me ask you a question, Vince. Are you going to be buying this pay-per-view, David Benavides versus David Morrel? And are you excited? I'm sure we're all excited for this fight to happen. It's a very good fight. However, why is it on pay-per-view, man? It's I don't. Is this the main? Yeah, this is going to be the main event on that undercard. In fact, let me do a little bit of research real quick. David Benavides versus David Morrel undercard. Let's see who is announced on it. Okay, so the co-main event is going to be a rematch with Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton, right? That's going to be on the undercard. It was supposed to land on the Gervonta Davis versus Lamar Roach fight. Also on the fight is going to be Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and he's going to be fighting Angel Fierro. Then he's going to have Jesus Ramos against Jason Rosario. Those are the 4 big fights on this pay-per-view event. He goes, yeah, it needs to be box office for me to buy. Unfortunately, I think Morrel will win, but hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah, man, look, I'm not really excited for this fight to be on a pay-per-view event. Yeah, man, I'm excited that Pitbull is back. And he's fighting Angel Fierro. Angel Fierro is a good fighter when he was at 126 pounds, at 130. Angel Fierro has no business staying at or competing at 135 and 140. It's kind of like Emmanuel Navarrete. It's like, you're good. You guys are good fighters at these lower weight classes, but until you build up correctly at these higher weights, go back down. Same thing with Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is a force at 135 and at 130. Bro, Pitbull, you have no business being at 140. That's Chaparrito way. You're like 5'1", bro. Like, go back down. Same thing with Oscar Valdez. Like, Valdez, you're a good fighter, bro. Just not at 130. Go back to 126. You can probably beat those guys at 126. Except Rafael Espinoza. That dude's 6'4", and he keeps getting taller. Like, stay away from that guy. But be that as it may, wait, I think Oscar... No. That's at 130 when he fought Navarrete. But yeah, man, I'm not really excited for this fight to be on pay-per-view. That's a somewhat stacked card, but that's not a pay-per-view worthy event. I mean, they're going to try to sell it to us for $80. If this pay-per-view event was 15, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, bet I'll put some money up to watch this. But unfortunately, it's just not that quality of a fight. I don't know how good David Morrel is. To me, he's a prospect. If David Benavides' resume, to me, is suspect, David Morrel's is even worse. You know what I mean? Benavides, he at least has ex-champions. Demetrius Andrade, Caleb Plant, David Lemieux, Alexander Vostok. Like, at least he has those guys. J. Leon Love, you know, Darrell. We at least know those names for David Benavides. But those are ex-champions, right? And moving up or at a higher weights and whatever the case may be. With David Morrel, bro, you barely fought a notable opponent in that guy named Hot Rod. And that guy is not like a world beater either. And you can't be selling me this on a pay-per-view. David is just not that big of a star. And if you keep putting him exclusive on pay-per-view, you're not going to allow him to grow. See, the beauty about free fights, the beauty about, you know, having premium cable or whatever the case may be, is that when you put these fighters on free fights, you give these fighters exposure. You allow their brand to grow. Eyes are more on the screen if it's free. Imagine David Benavides and David Morrel fighting on TV Azteca, right? Or Univision, hell, NBC, local channels. They would grow exponentially overnight after their performances, depending on how memorable or how stellar the knockout was or how stellar the night was, right? But when you put these guys on pay-per-view, you're now allowing them to grow. You're now allowing them to prosper, build a brand. And for all intents and purposes, shit, give me a second, guys. I got to take this call. Hold on. Yo, my bad, guys. Where were we at? Oh, yeah, David Benavides. So when you put these fighters on pay-per-view, right? Might check real quick. I don't know. Yeah, I think we should be good. Let me read a couple of these comments, man. The Mexican G goes, unfortunately, I think David Morrel will win, but hopefully I'm wrong. I'm glad Pitbull is back. I read those two. Pitbull is a very entertaining fighter, and he will always have my support. I agree. Pitbull will continue to have my support. He's a very... Look, I like any fighter that comes to fight. David Benavides, William Zepeda, Jaime Munguia, Pitbull Cruz, all of these fighters I always tune in to watch. You know, I love their stories. You know, even though I'll talk my trash a little bit, I always like fighters that come to entertain the fans, that try to please the fans and understand that our time, that our money's worth, that they value it. And that's one of the things that I love about every Mexican fighter. Even if it's guys like that can't crack, like Mauricio Herrera and things of that nature, they always come to fight. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I always love, our cultura, is that they come and understand the plight of the El Fanático, and they always want great fights and great performances. And if it could end in a knockout, even better. So one thing that I loved about amateur boxing gyms, you know, when the trainer is a Mexican, they always teach their fighters that aspect. So it's one of the beauties of the world that all of these fighters, especially that come from Mexico, they always honor that creed and that intelligence and just the appreciation of the fan. Because essentially, not only do they fight for themselves and, you know, fight to make money so they can feed their families, but they also have a responsibility, or they take it upon themselves, right, to respect the time and the hard work of your dollar. And that's why David Benavides, Zepeda, Jaime Munguia, these are fan favorite fighters, even if they haven't really accomplished much, right? In case in point, David Benavides. For a guy who's pretty much been a pro since, wow, I don't know, 2013, 2014, it's almost 10 years. And this fighter here has never unified, been undisputed. He's only been a champion in one weight class. And he only beat Ronald Gabriel. That's it. That's David Benavides for you. You know, he's beating smaller guys like Demetrius Andrade and stuff like that, right? And that's what he's supposed to do. But I'm just trying to say, like, when it comes down to a pay-per-view fight, it has to be worthy of it, guys. Like, I don't know what the PBC or Amazon Prime is doing. It's like, bro, you guys had 2024. That was your trial, error, and basis. That was when you guys are going to try to learn the market, if it's going to be cohesive, if you guys are going to be able to make profit off boxing. Bro, what makes you guys think having David Benavides and David Morrel to kick off your guys' PBC Amazon Prime exclusive package, what makes you think that's going to bring in the fans and subscriptions and popularize your brand to the common folk? It's not going to work like that. You know, and it, I don't know, dude. It's very ridiculous, man. If we look at fights that Turki Al-Sheikh is doing, he's giving us stacked cards. Like, bro, he was trying to give us Virgil versus Jerome Boots Ennis on the undercard of like this crazy ass main event, and Shakur versus William Zepeda and all of these things that were rumored, right? Kid Austin versus Floyd Schofield, I believe, is happening, and all these things. That's a stacked card, and he's selling it to us for $40 on DAZN. He could have easily charged us $80 if he wanted to, $60, but he even slashes it half in price and stacks it with great fights that we actually want. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, you would think that Al Heyman or whoever it is that runs the PBC brand, you would think that they would finally understand the market in boxing. And it's like, dude, it's the death of pay-per-view unless you have an amazing super fight, like the name of Canelo, the name of Tank, the name of a Usyk or a Fury or a Joshua. That thing you can sell to people, right? The Mexican G goes, I gotta disagree with you, bro. This is a great fight. Yeah, no, it's a great fight. It's just not a great fight to put on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, there's many great fights out there. It just, why pay-per-view? It's like, for example, if I'm the promoter of Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, that is a great fight. It is a significant fight. It's a pay-per-view fight. It has historical meaning, significance. Both fighters are undefeated. There's legitimate titles on the line. It's a great fight. David Benavides nor David Morrel, none of those are champions. Canelo has all those belts in that weight class, except that one that they gave to that dude, William Skoll, right? But these are interim belts. So they're not even legit champions. They're undefeated, but David Morrel is a prospect. David Benavides has been a contender for a decade, still chasing Canelo. So it's a very great fight on paper, right? I mean, not even on paper, but it shouldn't be a pay-per-view. The Mexican G follows it up by saying, one of the best ones to make right now since Canelo wants no smoke. Man, I will agree with you, man. Canelo, for some reason, does not want to fight David Benavides. And I don't seem to understand why. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Because his refusal to hurt his fellow Mexican and Jaime Munguia and carry him to the 12th round. His inability to knock out Edgar Berlanga and his statement saying, David Benavides brings nothing to the fight but 35 pounds. That behavior, coupled with his inability to knock out Berlanga and have sympathy towards his patriot and Jaime Munguia, lets me know he has a little fear in him when you speak David Benavides. I will agree with you on that one, Mexican G, since Canelo once no spoke with David. But if he understands, bro, if I hit him with some hooks to the body and uppercut, I'll probably knock out David Benavides. But Canelo doesn't want to prove that anymore. See, he'll fight every single young gun, Jaime Munguia, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, all of these unknown characters in the sport at 168. But when he comes down to David Benavides, he actually, backtracks a little bit. It's shocking. The Mexican G goes, bro, you don't know boxing. He goes, Morrel has extensive amateur background. He's very experienced, and he also has power. Don't be surprised if he stops David Benavides. Well, Demetrius Andrade had great amateur background. He was a 2-time division champion. He has the professional experience, something that Morrel doesn't have. And I wouldn't say Demetrius Andrade has power, but he has speed, IQ, flurry. Supposedly he's black, young, and handsome. That wasn't enough. David Morrel has power against 12 opponents, and none of those opponents, you can even name me how good any of them were. Those 12, 13 opponents or 11 opponents that David Morrel has on his resume are any of those knockout artists themselves. Did he beat anybody worthy of note? His best fighter on that paper is Hot Rod. The second one was like Yamaguchi Falcao. And that guy was a 160, 154 pounder. So David Morrel is fighting and knocking out absolutely nobodies. That's why he was knocking them out in 1 round. That's called building a fighter. He hadn't even fought an ex-champion. David Morrel looked like shit in his last fight because that's what he is.'s a prospect learning on the fly. We talked about this in the past. David Benavides has all the advantages. Experience, right? He's fought at 175, 168 against multiple ex-champions. David Morrel, if you were to, draw up a chart and add all the wins that David Benavides' opponent has had and losses versus David Morrel's, it would be a huge contrast of experience that David has had. Yo, shout out to David Morrel, though. Hey, saludos, El Pachuco. Shout out to David Morrel, though, because he called David Benavides his boxing style RoboCop. I thought that was funny, man. And then he starts walking around. Yeah, that was great. I don't know if you guys had seen it. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. Excuse me. Right here.
Un equipo de cheerleader, es puro porrista. Y tú tienes un equipo puro drogadito,
calling him like that.
That's it. Hand can move, you don't have nothing. For this,
Well, he has to have some.
hand can move.
Bro, tell me that's not accurate as hell, bro. That's so funny. And it's true. All David does is puts a high guard. His feet is flat. Dude, it's hilarious. I agree. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if David Morrel is able to drop David Benavides, maybe even sleep him. He does have good power. I mean, I'm not oblivious to that fact. I'm not dumb. He does have pop, And David is not like he's hard to find. He gets hit quite often in a lot of fights, and he's there. He's going to press the action. We don't really see David Benavides have a lot of lateral movement, and he's not bouncing back and forth either, But so it should be a very interesting inside the pocket type of fight, and I like overall David Morrel's style, right? So it should be a good fight, but I will say this. David Benavides brought back Miguel or Angel Heredia. He brought him back. So, that's the physical trainer of Juan Manuel Marquez when he was able to sleep Pacquiao. Memo Heredia is dangerous, guys. Okay? And David is looking hella huge. Big guy. 6'4", fucking 240 pounds type of dude, The Mexican G goes, man, I seen it. It was a good press conference. Morrel got quiet when David brought up steroids. Ooh, I think I must have missed that. Morrel got quiet. Yeah, I don't remember the steroid talk. I thought David Benavides was fluent in Spanish. And for some reason he doesn't want to. Ay, way, man, just fucking text me. Be right back, guys. My bad, guys. My bad. I don't know. People, I hate taking calls, man. It's like when people call you and know it's urgent. But, man, sometimes you guys can just text and send me a long-ass paragraph. I'll get back to you, like, within the second. Memo is a true master at his craft. Yeah, man. I've always liked these trainers, man. Alex Ariza, when he was with Pacquiao and Freddie Roach, that was a great combination. In fact, when Robert Garcia brought in Alex Ariza and he was training Marcos Maidana, he was training Brandon Rios, he was training all of these fighters, I thought that was peak Robert Garcia. The minute they learn, his son Pita learns from Alex Ariza and all of these things, and they deviate from him and they push him away because he was bringing, when he kicked Freddie Roach in the chest, it was bringing a lot of notoriety to the Robert Garcia Academy, and they didn't want that type of reputation, They wanted to be loved as they've always done, the Garcias. But yeah, man, I thought, why haven't we seen Alex Ariza to this day? There's only like 3 sports nutrition fighters, like Victor Conte, trainers, Victor Conte, and he don't necessarily train with one specific fighter, but, he has a brand Snack. And then you have Memo Heredia, and then you also have Alex Ariza. Where is Alex Ariza? If this guy, in my opinion, he's very great at his job, why hasn't nobody hired his services? I got to check out, I got to like stalk Alex Ariza, find him in Twitter, Instagram, or wherever he might be, because I feel he needs to get back in working with these dudes. The guy was great at his job, and one of the methods that I incorporated, I grew up playing baseball for like 10 years of my life. And one of the things that I loved about Alex Ariza is there was these workouts that he would have. He would give you a baseball bat, and he would have you hit south, a lefty and righty, and he would have you hit the punching bags with it, just developing torque and technique. So he was very outside the box, unorthodox training methods, and he would incorporate everything that he knew into like kinetic energy in terms of training workouts. And that's the beauty about PT trainers, is that they don't just they use training methods that use all body motion, because that's what it will translate into the fight. And every single day, it's a unique training regimen, so it doesn't get boring and tedious and repetitive, right? It's not mundane. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you going to like, man, what's new today? And that's one of the things, the importance of a Memo Heredia, the importance of an Alex Zariza and a Victor Conte, that it's different from boxing. I'm sure maybe you guys all been to a boxing gym. Maybe you guys had a couple amateur fights, and you know it can get very tedious. And it can hurt these training things. Like, just to throw 100 punches per round for 3 minutes, it's hard fucking work. You're going to lose at least like 45 calories if you're throwing 100 punches per 3-minute rounds. So when you're doing physical training and changing it up, whether it's sprints, whether it's the water bag, whether it's even swimming in the swimming pool and doing acrobatics and all of these things, incorporating water into your training is completely different. Squatting in a swimming pool, doing leg lunges in the pool is it's a lot of fun, a lot of good resistance. Anyway, El Pachuco goes, people criticize Juan Manuel Marquez for joining up with Heredia for the Pacquiao fight, as if Pacquiao wasn't on the sauce himself. Ooh, man. See, now you're talking. You're not talking against my two favorite fighters, but you're shining light on this topic that I agree with you, man. I believe Marquez, when he hired Memo, he did get extremely big relatively fast. Very unnatural, very high physique, like he was very strong upper body, and his legs were, de patito, piernas de patito, like he was super skinny down below. Pacquiao was reversed, big ass legs, chamorros, and skinny up on top. But yeah, man, Freddie Roach talked about how Alex Ariza would give him these secret juices during the corners when they were sparring and all of these things. And then you saw that Alex Ariza, when Adrian Broner landed a nasty ass left hook, I think in the 10th round or in the 9th round, and kind of buzzed Maidana, you saw those bath salts, the ammonia to wake up Maidana. It's like, wait, you can even see Maidana's reaction when they pressed Alex Ariza in the questioning, like, hey, what were you giving him there? Some people are saying it was bath salts. He goes, nah, it was the cotton swab. Yeah, fucking right. So Alex Ariza was very crafty. You know what I mean? And they know their history, and they can sneak in bath salts in their pockets, to fucking wake your ass up. Anyway, but yeah, El Pachuco, I agree. I felt like that was, and you also have to understand this, that 4 fights, the previous 3, if the first one was a draw, the second one, bro, could have been a draw as well. Third one, even more so. The third one was the boringest fight of all 4 of them, mainly because, they played it a little more cautious, right? And Marquez had to play a little more cautious because it was like, bro, I'm always getting dropped, and that seems to be the deciding factor in the first couple of fights. But yeah, man, even when they were a little older in that 4th fight, the most memorable moment that I've had in boxing for a really long time. Juan Manuel Marquez is my favorite boxer, so it was like sweet chin music. The Mexican G goes, Marquez is also one of my favorite Mexican fighters. He never ducked nobody. Never, bro. He fought Chris John, like in China or Japan or something like that. He fought Freddie Norwood way back in the day. Baby Boy Diaz, man, bro. Rocky Juarez from Texas. Juan Manuel Marquez, just a bad motherfucker, bro. Know that fighter. The Mexican G goes, never had the privilege of training in a boxing gym, but I wrestled in high school, and man, it was physically draining. You had to be in shape. 5 minutes of sparring felt like an hour. Yeah, man. 5 minutes of sparring does feel like an hour, especially if you're not breathing. You wrestled in high school, and when you wrestled, most of the trainers, they had the heater on, right? They made it into a sauna, and you're sweating there, very confined, developing ringworm. It was nasty in the wrestling environment. In the boxing gym, you don't even need to turn on the heat because like there's like 100 people there. You're all gonna sweat the same shit. So yeah, man, if you don't breathe, if you don't pace yourself, especially in sparring, and if you're not used to being in that bubble of combat and fighting, for sure, you get really heated, and it's all mental. I know everybody says mental, but when you're not breathing and you're clenching and you're telegraphing, you're closing your fist and not being smooth, for sure, bro, like sparring can feel like 1 minute of hardcore sparring can feel like for sure. El Pachuco goes, same here, man. Juan Manuel Marquez is one of my all-time favorite fighters. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I miss that, man. It was great to see him retire, but at the same time, I did feel a little salty because I'm also a big Manny Pacquiao fan, and I wanted to see a fifth fight because sometimes, kind of like Israel Vasquez and his younger brother Rafael Marquez, sometimes you're just meant for each other. Sometimes the beauty about boxing, like Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, is these rivalries. There's no other. You see, Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't really have a rivalry with anything or with anybody. You know, you can say his biggest rivalry was Oscar De La Hoya, and they didn't even fight for a second time. But they always go back and forth. Oh, I won a gold medal. Oh, I'm this undefeated. Oh, I've never been a pound for pound fighter. Oh, I'm number one on the list. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But like Floyd Mayweather doesn't really have that rivalry. You could say it was Pacquiao, but that was just like a sucker moment for all of us, you know? They exploited the fan, and it really ruined the reputation of the sport, of the beauty of really challenging yourself, you know? The Mexican G goes, yup, the heat was always up. You walked in and sweat instantly. Yeah, I hated the wrestling mat, bro. It was filthy. I hated, like, bro, it's already hot. You know what I mean? I don't need this heater on. But, you know, that's how you lose a lot of water weight. You just got to enjoy it. That's all part of the process. The Mexican G goes, I was glad to see Marquez leave with a W. Who was his last fight? Who was Juan Manuel Marquez's last fight? It wasn't Mike Alvarado. Juan Manuel Marquez. I want to see who was his last fight. I don't think it was Timothy Bradley. Let's check it out. See if he retired on a W. Oh, shit, it was Mike Alvarado. Damn. That's crazy. He did fight Mike Alvarado last. That was a great fight. Man, I wonder whatever happened to Mike Alvarado. I remember reading a report. I have some of his fights when he fought Brandon Rios part 1 and part 2. And Mike Alvarado, he was going through some stuff. I don't know if he was like a gangster or he was affiliated like in Colorado. But, you know, I think they found like one of his SUVs up in a ditch of a river and all of these things. And they said that he wasn't doing mentally well, man. Mike Alvarado has the funniest, bro, shadow boxing thing I've ever seen. Let me hold on. Mike Alvarado shadow boxing. Dude, it's already number one thing. This is the funniest I've ever seen any professional fighter with skills, bro. Look at this. All right, that looks clean. Look at that long ass jab, bro. Look at that feint. Man, I shouldn't be laughing at him, bro, but I love Mike Alvarado, bro. But tell me that shit ain't funny, bro. Like, you you don't see pro fighters shadow box like that. You keep it nice and tight. You don't really overextend his punches. He's like, dude. Oh my goodness, man. Look, I don't think Speed or Drew are gonna be joining us tonight. Speed's oldest daughter turned 21 years old. So I think they took her out to dinner. And Drew, you know, he's probably doing some stuff for work. But yeah, man, that was some funny stuff right there between Mike, bro. Yeah, I agree, Pachuco. I believe last I heard about Mike Alvarado, he was in trouble. I don't know if I saw a mugshot of him, but hopefully, you know, fuck, dude, you know, sometimes you wish the sport of boxing had healthcare or a union. They always rise up these issues, and it's not really, you know, yeah, man. You just wish that they had like a NFL Players Association for boxing. You know, they try to shine light on it, but like, what are a lot of these fighters, right? If they don't teach them in football how to save their money and all these things, and now they're bringing awareness, imagine boxing. You know, sometimes you hear Andre, Son of God, Ward talk about certain things and keeping your faculties in check and all of these things, making sure your senses are correct. But bro, like, do anybody even tell them, like, hey, bro, you need to make a trust? You know, what are you going to do post-boxing? You know, do you have health care and all of these things? And the reality is they don't have either of them. So a lot of them end up broke. Or they, you know, they get a little slurred speech. All they know is fighting in the world. And are they supposed to go just have a regular job? You know what I mean? No, it's very difficult. And you don't really see a lot of pro boxers have podcasts or YouTube channels. And that's why I was very surprised, and I became a bigger fan of Rafael Espinoza, because he does do those things. You know, he's talking with his fans. He has a YouTube channel. He's maximizing his moments in the sport of boxing. And I wish, you know, Mike Alvarado's people would look out for him much more. But yeah, man, El Pachuco goes, he had a gun charge. Yeah. Yeah, I felt like he was always a little bit of a troublemaker. Mikey Garcia is making money outside of boxing. He made smart investments. Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that I'll give Mikey Garcia a lot of credit for. Post-boxing and even during his boxing, I know you guys mentioned in the last live or a couple lives ago that he wanted to become a cop, and you were like, man, fuck him or whatever. But yeah, Mikey was very smart, bro. He was very intelligent, saving his money, buying land. He understood that, well, Mikey was very astute, very smart. And that's one of the things that he wanted to deviate himself, you know, and part ways with Bob Arum to buy out his contract, even though it took him 2 or 3 years. He was very smart in understanding, like, this is what I want to do with my career. He took matters into his own hands. Now, while I think, like, you know, era un vendido, like, he sold himself to the Errol Spence moment in a fight when I feel like he personally didn't need that. You know, he could have somehow tried to maximize a fight with Lomachenko, could have fought Devin Haney. But even a Manny Pacquiao fight. But I don't know. He wanted fucking Errol Spence. He wanted a young, dangerous Errol Spence, and he wanted to move up to welterweight. I don't know why, Mikey. I know why he wanted to do that. He obviously told us in multiple interviews, but it's just like, bro, you don't need that, bro. That hurt so much. That everything that Mikey Garcia was doing and building for himself, whether it was the connections with ES News and reporting and doing all these channels and building that connection with the fans and beating guys like Broner, Dejan Slatichanin, and who else did he fight in between? Sergey Lipinets. Like, bro, you're doing great things. Continue to do those things, right? But no, he just wanted to cut the line, move up to welterweight, not even fight Danny Garcia or anything, not have a tune-up at 147, go straight to the big dog because he sees something. And I believed him because I was a big fan of Mikey Garcia. But I was like, bro, you're moving. Everything that you're doing in your career it's very methodical. Then you have this outlier moment of Errol Spence. And Mikey always told us he never really liked boxing. He was just good at it. You know, he was kind of like forced into it because his father would train them. Robert Garcia was a fighter, and Mikey picked up from early age. And he always told us he never loved the sport. But at the end of the day, he's like, I'm not trying to hear that, bro. I gave yourself your best foot forward to give us a victory. You know what I mean? Because some people live vicariously through you. Se vendió. He sold himself, whatever he got paid. He wanted a big mega moment, and he was not competitive at all. I think he threw most of like 30 punches per round, 300 for the whole fight. And Errol Spence threw like 100 jabs per round, over 1,000 punch. Like, it was ridiculous. War Speed, que over, bro. Good evening for all gents. At the homie Ricky, I Vince Vargas, the Mexican G, and El Pachuco familia. I wish I could gather. It's my daughter's 21st birthday today, and we are out and about the town celebrating. Que over, muchachos. Buenas noches, compa. Mikey is kind of lame, though. If I had money like him, I would have been making it rain at the strip club while I wore gold chains and designer clothing. No mames, way. Fuck no, dude. Leave that to Adrian Broner, bro. Nah, Mikey is smart. You know, he bought himself terreno, some cows, you know, living, eating organic beef, all of that stuff, man. He was very smart with understanding what it is that he needed to do, you know, and they built a Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. Not only do we know of the professional fighters, but they even host amateur events and they have tournaments. And I think for a while they were doing their own promotion. Fucking Mikey, leave that to Leo Santa Cruz's dad, right? To wear the gold chains and you know, the sombreros and all these things, bro, like los carteles, bro, like, but designer clothing, get the fuck out of here, dude. But yeah, man, I just wanted to ask you guys, I know the Mexican G has told us that he thinks Morrel will probably pull the upset, but just because he has power and he has the amateur experience, Robeisy Ramirez had that amateur experience against Rafael Espinoza as well, and that didn't work for him at all. You know what I mean? In fact, Espinoza made him quit. David Morrel has never been pushed hard. To be honest with you, I don't even think he's ever been hit hard. Because again, if you look at his resume, he doesn't have any notable punchers on that list. And none of those fighters actually came to fight and fight back. The minute they got hit with one right hook, one jab, one left straight, they all cowered. Except the last guy, Hot Rod. The Mexican G goes, Mikey also runs a carniceria. I did not know that. Yo, you know what? I think I do know that. I think the carniceria is over there in Oxnard, no? Not in Riverside. I think I seen that video when they're talking about it. Or I think Robert might. Yeah, man, I think you're right about that. I will say this. Robert Garcia, Mikey Garcia, they're very smart. And to be honest with you, I honestly, like, I miss Mikey. I wish he was still fucking fighting to this day. Imagine fights with him and Alex Cholo Salcedo. I know he retired, but Mikey versus Josh Taylor. Mikey versus Jose Ramirez. Mikey versus Rancis Barthélemy. Mikey should have stayed at 140, bro. Like, what are you doing at 147, bro? Just stay at 140 and unify 140. If you can't make 135 and fight guys like Jorge Linares, Lomachenko, and stuff like that, Teofimo Lopez, if you stay in those two weight classes, you have so much great fights where you're relatively young fighting and beating on these young dudes. Imagine Mikey Garcia at that time versus Ryan Garcia. But you could have stayed in that mix with those quote-unquote four kings. This fucking guy wanted to go to 147 and only fight Errol Spence. Wanted no smoke with Bud Crawford, but he saw something in Errol Spence. And I believed him. That's the crazy part. The Mexican G goes, Robert is one of the best Chicano coaches in boxing history. I agree with that statement, man. Look, man, I'm going to keep this video short because hopefully more news, more rampant news happens with David Benavides and David Morrel. But yeah, man, this fight should not be on pay-per-view. I'm very disgusted that it is. The co-main event is probably Pitbull Cruz versus Angel Fierro, Brandon Figueroa versus Steven Fulton. If you're trying to build, look, Brandon Figueroa, there's a movie called Warm Bodies. It's a zombie love story, Romeo and Juliet type of shit. And there's this main actor named R, okay? If you guys watch X-Men, he's also the actor that plays the Beast, the blue dude. And that guy, Brandon Figueroa, looks like that dude. So you basically have an actor who can fight in your hands, right? Then you have Pitbull Cruz, a Mexican fighter fan favorite, who you could arguably beat Tank Davis, and in my opinion, he beat Rayo Valenzuela. I mean, bro, I don't like Shakur Stevenson. So if you guys are telling me that Rayo Valenzuela outboxed Pitbull Cruz, that's what Shakur would have done. And you guys would give no credit to Shakur. I have no idea why you guys give it to Rayo. Maybe because he's light-skinned. I get it. You know. But yeah, man, all of these fights on that PBC banner, when it comes down to this February card between David Benavides and David Morrel, should be regular, not pay-per-view, bro. Nobody wants to pay top dollar for that. Nobody, bro. I'm gonna go buy some more Pokemon cards. At least I can get the chase card and flip it. It's ridiculous, bro. And they don't have the common courtesy to give me a David Benavides boxing card or a signed shirt or something that like I bought the pay-per-view. You see, one of the things, check this out. Back in 2004, there was a Pokemon movie. And they used to, El Pachuco goes, I had Pitbull beating Rayo. Thank you, El Pachuco. Shout out to you, bro. Because I think it was the Mexican G and I forgot who else that day, man. They were like, Rayo, man, what are you talking about? He won 10-9 rounds. And I was like, man, what? I wish I can sit fight by round, punch by punch analysis right here without getting struck down. Rayo outclassed Pitbull. There he goes, man. There he goes. But, hey, do you guys know talking about the whole Rayo and Benavides situation. I know Rayo actually filed a lawsuit on Benavides Senior, saying that he basically wants to get out of that contract, the trainer manager situation, that he was asking for 25% of his check and all of these things. Whatever happened to that, and it's kind of shocking that, I think you guys might have addressed it in the past, that maybe they were like flirting with his girl or something, but what exactly happened that like Rayo was so disgruntled with Benavides Senior? I wonder what happened. Rayo was the matador, but you see, that's not true Mexican stuff. That's more Spaniard. We don't use words like matador, bro. What the fuck? Nah, it's just, bro. I hear you, man. He was, but bro, El Toro Loco quiere bailar, bro. Like, come on. Pitbull is 5'1". Like, that's natural for Rayo to use his height. The Mexican G goes, it's disappointing. Yeah, man. And I don't even know why you're rooting for Rayo, bro. Like, like, this guy is betraying the people that gave him shelter, that was teaching him how, like, Rayo is only known, okay, because of the Benavides camp. That's the only reason Rayo is known. And this fucking dude has the audacity to sue his own people that put food on the table for him, had him fighting on his undercards, living with them in conditioning, brought him good quality sparring, build him. And this scumbag sues his people. That's crazy. Probably over abroad, bro. That's Rayo for you, bro. The Mexican G, bro. You're supposed to be La Raza, all this. Like, how you even supporting Rayo, bro? Like, the fucking dude ain't no cuete, bro. You saw his colors against Edwin de los Santos. Pitbull beat him, bro. Like, no way. But anyway, I'm not trying to get all crazy all over this situation. But, man, I thought that was some scumbag work from Rayo. He doesn't even tell Benavides Senior that they're no longer together, training things. The manager is trying to part ways. All for what? Dude, they gave you clothing, food, all of these things. You know what I mean? It couldn't be that fucking bad that you don't even want to mention, and you want to tarnish their reputation. That's the craziest thing for me. Where is Jose Benavides Jr. to go check Rayo? Be like, hey, bro, why the fuck are you suing my dad? What's up, bro? You don't remember how we housed you? We fed you, we gave you, food, and we boarded you on camp. We had you sparring me, my brother, all these things, and you're suing my dad for what? That's the craziest thing. That's why I need Jose Benavides Jr. to use his street terms and check Rayo. Rayo thinks he's the shit when he ain't, bro. You want to give Pitbull the rematch. I call that a punk. The thing is that Pitbull doesn't have power at 140. Yeah, I agree, man. Pitbull needs to go back to 135 and 130. It's a shame that he wants to fight at 140. And the thing is, if you're chasing Tank Davis doesn't want to fight at 140, bro. Like, go back to 135. Yeah, you can beat Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero is a nobody. He's nothing, So, I don't know. It's strange with Pitbull, man. The Mexican G goes, Jose only brought him in because he saw an opportunity to make money off of him. Bro, for what? Jose Rayo doesn't even have much amateur experience. You know what I mean? He has a nice look to him, and he's personable. You know what I mean? That's about it. Jose turned his back on Rayo when he lost to Edwin de los Santos. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's possible. But I don't think so, because I remember watching an interview and Jose post the fight, and Jose was showing the utmost respect. He was like, hey, bro, this is boxing. It happens. You get caught with a punch, and he didn't recover, and it is what it is. We'll go back to the drawing board. It's not the end of the fight. He's young. Let me see if I can find that one. Jose Benavides Sr. talks Rayo post-fight Edwin de los Santos. Jesus, that's a long-ass algorithm. I'll try to find the video that I'm talking about. Was it this one? Dang, it was 2 years ago already.
Jose, you guys came under.
Nah, it wasn't this one. It was more symmetrical, the camera angle. It wasn't I think it was this one. I was heartbroken. No, I love him like a son. No, reacts to him. Munguia. Nah. I have to look for it, man. But long story short, Jose Benavides Sr. was extremely respectful to Rayo. He was like, look, man, I think we probably made a miscalculation taking a last-minute replacement. He was talking about like either we fight nobody and don't get paid, or we fight somebody last minute because Jezreel Corrales pulled out. And I think El Pacheco goes, I remember hearing that, but Jose said that Rayo didn't train properly. Maybe, you know, I gotta try to find that video. I remember Rayo Valenzuela talks Pitbull Cruz and Edwin de los Santos clash, wants the big fights in the division. Where's that? I don't remember the interview, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna go through an Easter egg hunt looking for this shit, but
Jose, you guys came under. You took out that fan love. But I'm super proud of him. I think he's going to learn a lot from this. And we're coming stronger and better. Yeah, how's he dealing with it? Is he okay? Thank God we didn't have to go visit the doctor or nothing like that. Of course, he's there. How's his confidence? Confidence is good, but he's destroyed, you know. It was a naturally. Yeah, for sure, you know. That's going to go away, you know. It's normal. You know, he lost. Nobody likes to lose, you know. But like I said, I think he's going to learn a lot from this. All the champions lose. He come back stronger.
See, I think this was the interview, and you hear nothing but nice things. Like he's saying the proper responses that you know, that your public relations team wants to do. It's like, look, man, this is boxing. It happens. Champions lose, they bounce back. He's gonna learn from this. Obviously, he's devastated. That's standard procedure. You know what I mean? So I don't know where Rayo has this type of, I don't know, ill feeling towards Senior. You know what I mean? So it has to be something that happened. But again, I don't know if I should tell this, but some of my friends from high school, they were going through stuff with their mom and dad. And Speed housed them, you know. He was like, hey, bro, yeah, you could, you know, sleep on the couch, in the living room, X, Y, and Z. And to this day, those friends are still our friends, and they never had bad mouth me or my brother because they're grateful. They understand that even though we don't see each other as often, like you still lended me an open door and arms in a time of need when, you know, kids are learning and they want to separate themselves from the parents and, you know, just be knuckleheads. You get what I'm saying? I don't see anything that Senior said that Rayo feels this type of way to just part ways with it. Okay, bro, you guys made a miscalculation. Your trainers don't know everything, just like you don't know everything. But to sue them, to not be able to tell them in person, your trainer has to find out through the media, that's some straight sucker shit. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And that's why I need Jose Benavides Jr. to go check Rayo. But they won't, man, because maybe they, you know, they're probably boys and all this shit. Like, I get it, bro. But look, it's like if somebody was suing my dad. If you're suing my dad, you're an enemy of mine. And that's the type of time that I'm on if I was David Benavides. It's like, yeah, I don't know why Rayo is suing my father, man. You know what I mean? We did all these things for this kid, but if I see him, I'm going to check him. That's what I would do. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that wouldn't fly. Like, suing my blood, like suing my dad, bro. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So, nah, I don't agree with that, Mexican G. Until Rayo really speaks about that topic, I don't think Jose Benavides Senior or Junior did anything bad to him, bro. He goes, maybe I'm biased because I'm light-skinned like Rayo. Shit, I'm light-skinned too, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that don't really mean nothing. Pitbull turned down the rematch. He said, Rayo just runs. Yeah, well, he does run. That's why Pitbull should never fight Shakur Stevenson, and we didn't think Rayo was going to run like a little bitch. And we're being honest. You call that boxing, I call that running. Or what does that one guy, Skittles, say? He calls it back foot bitching. Nah, man. It is what it is. It happens, bro. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Pitbull Cruz. You know, I know he's not the greatest, but with his limitations, siempre le va a echar ganas, bro. And Rayo, for the same reason, he siempre le va a echar ganas too. Like, I still go back to this day to watch the Edwin de los Santos fight because, I mean, he was doing good work, but you needed to tighten that defense. Like, bro, you're not catching, you're not parrying, you're essentially not blocking, bro. Like, he's penetrating and splitting you up with the southpaw up jab, bro. Like, what are we going on? The Mexican G goes, man, you're tripping. Yeah, guys, but I didn't really like Rayo suing Benavides. You know, I know Robert Garcia got his hands on a champion, Rayo. You know, Rayo, like I said, he's personable. He's got that charm. He's got a smile. You like the kid he got power and he can crack. You know what I mean? But I just feel that you know, I don't know. It is what it is. Boxing isn't just trading punches. No, I mean, I guess Edwin got dropped in that fight too. Yeah, absolutely. I thought that fight that Rayo had with Edwin was much more entertaining than his fight that he had versus Pitbull Cruz. I wasn't impressed with that performance. I was like, okay, you're 5'11", Pitbull Cruz is 5'1". You have a 70 arm length. Pitbull has a 64. Like, you have essentially 10 inches in height and arm length. Like, I know that's what you're gonna have to do and stick and move. But yeah, folks, I think that's a little bit about a wrap. I don't want to get too emotional over Benavides Sr. and Jr. Y'all stay tuned. Hopefully we can go live tomorrow. Have a good night, folks. And I'll see you guys then. Pachuco, Warp Speed, Mexican G, Vince Vargas. Happy Tuesday to you guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one.